The Road Not Taken. A Journey of Life's Choices. Chapter 1. The Crossroads of Life. The evening air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. Daniel stood at a crossroads, staring at two diverging paths ahead of him. He had always known this moment would come, yet he had never felt more unprepared. His entire life had been structured, planned, and predictable, and now he had to make a choice. Memories of past decisions flooded his mind. The safe path represented everything he had ever known: a secure job, a steady income, a predictable routine. It was the path society encouraged, the one his parents had always advised him to take. The unknown path, however, was different. It was filled with uncertainties, but it also held the promise of adventure, self-discovery, and the possibility of something greater. He thought about all the moments in his life where he had been given a choice between comfort and growth. In school, he had always picked the subjects that felt easy rather than the ones that truly interested him. At work, he had stayed in the same position for years, never asking for a promotion because he feared failure. In relationships, he had avoided taking risks, choosing familiarity over the unknown. Looking at the paths before him, he realized how often people make similar choices in their daily lives. Some stay in jobs they dislike because it feels safe, while others chase their passions despite uncertainty. Some remain in the same city, never venturing beyond their comfort zone, while others explore new places and cultures, broadening their perspectives. Some people avoid difficult conversations, fearing discomfort, while others face them head-on, knowing that true understanding comes from honesty and vulnerability. Daniel clenched his fists. Could he keep walking the safe path forever? Would he wake up one day, years later, filled with regret for never taking a chance on himself? The weight of his decision pressed heavily on his chest. The unknown path wasn't just a trail through the forest. It was a reflection of life's choices. It symbolized every moment when one must decide between the easy and the meaningful, between settling and striving. Taking a deep breath, he stepped toward the unknown. To his left was a smooth, well-lit road. A signpost stood tall beside it, its letters carved neatly into the wood. The safe path. Comfortable, familiar, no risks. To his right, however, lay a narrow, winding trail, shrouded in mist. The sign beside it was older, worn down by time and weather. The unknown path. Challenges, uncertainty, and growth. Daniel's heart pounded. He had always played it safe. Good grades, a stable job, a predictable routine. But had he ever truly lived? His dreams, once so vivid, had faded into distant memories. His childhood ambition of being an artist had been buried under the weight of responsibilities. He had convinced himself that comfort was enough. But standing here now, a question echoed in his mind. What if there's more? Chapter 2. The First Step into the Unknown. Taking a deep breath, Daniel stepped toward the unknown path. The moment his foot touched the ground, a gust of wind rustled through the trees, as if the forest itself had taken notice of his decision. He hesitated, but then he remembered something his grandfather had once told him. Growth begins at the edge of your comfort zone. In that moment, Daniel realized how often this applied to real life. People stay in unfulfilling jobs because they fear financial instability, They hold on to relationships that no longer bring happiness because they are afraid of loneliness. They avoid learning new skills because they worry about failing. Yet, every person who has achieved something meaningful had to step into the unknown at some point. As Daniel continued down the rugged path, he encountered obstacles that tested his resolve. His first challenge was a steep incline covered in loose gravel. He slipped several times, his legs burning with effort. It reminded him of a time when he had taken on a difficult project at work. At first, it had seemed impossible, but by pushing through discomfort and learning along the way, he had grown more confident and capable. A few minutes later, he reached a fork in the path. One route was a shortcut but looked unstable, while the other was a longer, safer trail. It reminded him of the daily choices people make, choosing to cut corners for quick success versus putting in the hard work for long-term gains. He chose the longer path, understanding that the best rewards often come with patience and perseverance. As he walked, he saw an old, twisted tree standing alone. It had deep roots and strong branches, yet its shape suggested it had endured many storms. This, he thought, was like life. People who stand strong despite challenges develop resilience, just like that tree. Every difficult situation. Hours passed, and Daniel encountered a river blocking his way. The only way across was a series of slippery rocks. He hesitated. What if he fell? What if he got hurt? Then he recalled how he had once feared public speaking, but had conquered it by taking small steps. First speaking in small meetings, then larger groups. Confidence, he realized, is built through experience. With that thought, he carefully stepped onto the rocks and made it across. By the time the sun set, Daniel found himself standing at the top of a hill, overlooking a breathtaking valley bathed in golden light. The journey had been difficult, but every struggle had taught him something valuable. The moral was clear. Taking the safe path may be comfortable, but the unknown path leads to real growth. Challenges in life are like obstacles on a journey. They shape us, strengthen us, and prepare us for greater things. Every successful person has faced doubt, but those who persist find their way forward. As he looked ahead, Daniel knew that the lessons from this journey would stay with him forever. And just like that, he took another step forward, ready for whatever lay ahead. Growth begins at the edge of your comfort zone. With renewed determination, he took another step. The path was uneven, the fog thick. The safe road behind him looked inviting, almost calling him back. But he pressed on. Soon he encountered his first challenge, a steep incline covered in loose gravel. With every step, he slipped, his legs burning from the effort. Doubt crept in. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I'm not strong enough for this. But then, a voice interrupted his thoughts. Need a hand? Daniel turned to see a young woman, her clothes covered in dust, her expression determined. She extended a hand, and he gratefully accepted. As they climbed together, she introduced herself as Maya, another traveler who had chosen the uncertain path. I almost turned back 100 times, she admitted, brushing dirt from her hands. But then I realized that every challenge was making me stronger. Her words resonated with Daniel. Maybe struggles weren't signs of failure, but proof of progress. Chapter 3. The shadow of doubt. As they walked, the fog thickened, making it difficult to see the road ahead. The air grew, colder, and a whispering sound surrounded them. The voices were indistinct at first, like leaves rustling in the wind, but soon they became clearer, carrying words that sent chills down Daniel's spine. You are not ready for this. This path isn't for you. Turn back while you still can. Daniel's breath quickened. The whispers weren't just sounds, they were the voices of his own fears, echoing his deepest insecurities. He glanced at Maya, who was walking beside him, her jaw set with determination. If she heard the voices too, she gave no sign. Then, suddenly, the path beneath their feet seemed to shift. The shadows of the trees stretched unnaturally, forming shapes that loomed over them. Daniel could feel his courage wavering. What if the voices were right? What if he was making a mistake? Maya reached for his hand, her grip firm and steady. Don't listen to them, she said. They're just illusions, feeding on your doubts. Daniel swallowed hard. He had heard these doubts before, when he had hesitated to take risks in life, when he had convinced himself he wasn't capable. But now, standing in the thick of the mist, he had a choice. Let fear control him, or push forward. Taking a deep breath, he steadied himself. I am stronger than my doubts, he whispered. With each step forward, the voices grew fainter. The mist began to clear, revealing the path ahead. A sense of clarity washed over him. This journey wasn't just about reaching the end. It was, about overcoming the barriers within himself. Maya smiled at him. See? Doubt only has power if you let it. Daniel nodded, feeling a renewed sense of determination. The road ahead was still uncertain, but he was no longer afraid to walk it. Do you really think you can succeed? A voice hissed. Daniel froze. He looked around but saw nothing. Yet the whispers continued, growing louder. You're not strong enough. You don't belong here. Turn back while you still can. Maya grabbed his arm. Don't listen to it, she said firmly. It's just the shadow of doubt. It feeds on fear. Daniel clenched his fists. These whispers were too familiar. They were the same doubts he had carried within him for years. He took a deep breath and spoke aloud. I belong here. The whispers faltered. I am strong enough. The fog thinned. I will not give up. And just like that, the shadow of doubt faded into nothingness. Chapter 4. The Test of Perseverance. The journey continued, each step revealing new obstacles. A raging river blocked their path, its waters cold and merciless. The only way across was a series of slippery stones. Maya went first, moving quickly and confidently. Daniel hesitated. What if he slipped? What if he fell? But then he thought of all the times he had let fear stop him. He steadied himself, took a deep breath, and stepped forward. He wobbled, almost losing balance, but then regained his footing. Step by step, he moved forward until finally he reached the other side. He turned back and looked at the river. A few hours ago, I would have never believed I could do this. Growth was happening, even if he couldn't see it immediately. Chapter 5. The light at the end of the path days passed. Daniel and Maya faced countless challenges, steep climbs, heavy storms, moments of exhaustion. But each time they pushed forward, learning, adapting, growing. Then, one morning, as they climbed the final hill, the mist parted, revealing a breathtaking view. Before them stretched a valley bathed in golden sunlight, a place filled with opportunities, beauty, and endless possibilities. Daniel exhaled, his heart swelling with pride. He had made it. The path hadn't been easy, but it had been worth it. Maya grinned. Told you it was worth it. And for the first time in his life, Daniel truly believed it. Moral of the story: the hardest roads often lead to the most beautiful destinations. Growth begins when you step outside your comfort zone. Doubt and fear are part of the journey, but they don't define the destination. Every challenge is an opportunity to become stronger.